Evidence is beginning to show that your ability to create wealth has a lot to do with your ability to master self, and by extension, your ability to master life. Today, we are going to be examining this pretty interesting topic titled Master Self, Master Life, and Build Wealth. And I want to encourage you to invite anyone that you think might want to learn more about the wealth building process to join us. And along with that, I want to encourage you, if you looking at this program and perhaps you have never subscribed, I want to encourage you to do so now because we will continue to bring you groundbreaking information that will really help you on your wealth building journey. So, whether you're in business or you're the average Joe who wants to position yourself for greatness, this platform will provide you with the quality content of information that can transform your life. To join me in today's conversation, I have an exceptional, talented person in studio with me today, and his name is no other than Clement Frank. Now, in the event that you're wondering who is Clement Frank, meaning that you might have never seen him before, he is an economist by profession, he is a leader by profession, and he is also an author of a new book that is about to be released. Hi, Frank, how are you?
Nice being here again.
Great. Just before we get into today's program, can we talk a little bit about the book that you're about to release?
Yes, you can talk about the book. Um, it's a book for leaders. How leaders can be grounded, how leaders can be successful. It's all about sound leadership, the discipline, the attitude that you bring to your leadership. In my experience, I found that right across the environment of leadership, there's a lack of leadership, and that's one of the reasons my enthusiasm for this book came about. And that apart from my training with leadership, um, I realized that we here have a long way to go, and it's not leadership is not only here in this space, but
Hmm.
it's an international issue. When you look at what goes on in the Congress and at political sphere, I'm like, wow, there's really a falling away from discipline and self mastery. And so the book speaks to that. What benefits can you
Interest.
get? What benefits can you get as a leader of the house? What benefit can you get as a church, a business leader, a politician? It speaks to all of that, and there are benefits for all of them. So there's so much more that this book offers, and in time, as you get the book, you read it, and you get to understand what, and especially for political leaders, it speaks to partisanship and polarization, where you look at party loyalty over public interest, and we realize that extreme partisanship can lead to um, politicians to prioritize their party agendas over broader public interests, and this hinder their ability to lead effectively across the aisle. And when you have a polarized environment, yes, you see, deep political divisions can make it difficult for politicians to build consensus and lead in a way that unites diverse groups. And Gary, if you look and you see what's going on all across the spectrum there's partisanship, there's polarization. A lot of them lack experience, limited background. Some politicians lack the necessary background or experience in leadership, management, or specified policy areas, and this impairs the ability to govern effectively. They have insufficient training, and unlike in many professions, there's no
And
formal training or credentialing required to become a politician,
yeah,
leading to
and
vital leadership
yeah,
skills.
that in of itself make those who are inexperienced to be more susceptible to partisanship, and
Yes.
they follow suit instead of bringing new creative, innovative ideas to the table of leadership.
Exactly. And
Um,
so the song business leadership looks at all of that, the economic insight and management skills that you will bring, how you
mm,
think strategically, and how you solve problems. All right. So that's what the
okay.
book will benefit a politician in this case. And some other time I'll
Sound
show you how it's going to benefit the church, how it's
private
going to
sector
benefit
and the
the
church.
family, because everyone who is in that position of leadership
Hmm.
should read this book.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. All right, thanks for that share, Frank. The book sounds pretty interesting. At least you have some clear targeted performance outcome. And you know for sure you wanted to hit leaders or
Hmm.
influence leaders from various sectors of life. With that being said, I want to now bring attention to today's topic. Today we are talking about self mastery. Master self, master life, and build wealth. Now, the average person may be asking themselves, what does self mastery and life mastery has to do with building wealth? Well, I want to say this to you. The research that we are doing, surprisingly, it is showing that your ability to master yourself gives you the ability to master life. And because you have the ability to master life, you're in a much better position to build wealth for yourself. So, today, I want to spend some time just giving you my perspective on master self. To master self, in the context in which I'm going to look at it today, it's all about you making a decision to learn who you are. Today, across the global spectrums, a lot of emphasis is now placed on helping the individual to cut through the noise of self discovery. It's a very noisy pathway, it's a very complex pathway, and I often say it should not be that way. And just let me talk a little bit about that noise. You know, I could recall that we run a test, and there's two individuals. One individual, we allow them to go down the traditional path, not having a true sense of self, and the other individual, what we do, we work with them for some time to help them to understand what is known as the self-image theory. Now, as we begin to look into the self-image theory, we help the individual to understand what are the selves that they need to understand, what are the noise that they need to cut through, and which self they should really embrace. So, in this exercise, we talk about the ideal self. And the ideal self traditionally is the self that you would like to be. So we talk to them about that self and we help them to understand that that in of itself is a noise. Is it the right noise or the wrong noise? We also talk about the looking glass self. Now, the looking glass self in this context, it's about you, but it's about you in your essence. You are doing things to be compliant to an organization or to the church or to whatever. This whole looking glass self means that you are not necessarily flowing in the ideal self, or you're not flowing in the in your true self image. So we talk to them about how this noise affects the individual from flowing in their true essence. So we help them to understand the ideal self, the looking glass self. And then we come across to the self image. The self image is how you see yourself. And one of the things that we have seen is that many persons in life across the world, you see yourself based on the experiences that you would have encountered. And when those experiences are negative, you tend to see yourself in that negative life. That's the noise that you're constantly hearing. When that experience is positive, you tend to become the product of those positive experiences. And those are the noise. But in cases when you interface with negative and you allow the negative experiences to define who you are, that is wrong. So in our program, we walk you through this to really help you to understand how to escape that noise that is telling you lies. And even in cases when you have positive noise, so you have positive experiences, which you can now leverage as a springboard to achieve greatness, if it is toxic positive, we also look at that because you have toxic positive. I want you to be aware of it. And we bring you straight over to the concept that we call the real self. So we look at the noise in the ideal self. We look at the noise at the looking glass self. And we look at the noise in the self image. And then we bring you right over to what we call the real self. So, what is the noise in the real self saying? And I believe that this is a noise that should be really amplified because what we're seeing is that most people, you don't understand the real self. Luckily, on this platform, we brought the subject to that point to really help them to understand the real self. And that real self is that self that says to you, regardless of where you were born and regardless of where you are in life, guess what? You have the potential to achieve greatness. And let me repeat this. What the real self says is that regardless of where you were born and regardless of where you are at in your life, you have the potential to achieve greatness. So we really spent a lot of time helping this individual to understand the real self because understanding the real self plays on what we call mastering self. You can't master yourself unless you're grounded in the essence of your real self. To conclude what I'm saying here, to understand the real self, we attach it back to what we call some biblical truth, because from the great book, we learn that God created the world and then he took the fertile soil, and what he did, he made the physical aspect of man in his image and his likeness. And after he would have used that fertile soil to make man in his image and his likeness, he breathed his breath of life inside of man. So, in other words, what I'm saying, if you're a Christian, your interpretation of this is that you have Christ's DNA within you. So, the big question here is now that you're aware that you have Christ's DNA within you, are you flowing in your Christ like image? Are you flowing in your Christ like image? And if not, why not? So the whole concept of mastering self and plays upon the concept, the idea that within you, you have Christ like. And within you, you owe it to yourself to activate the Christ like within. And I believe Christ like for me is not necessarily being religious, but Christ like is challenging yourself to be innovative and challenging yourself to be creative. And when we look at the story of Christ, we have seen that he have done great things. And what he has also said, there are those who will come after me that will do even greater things. So as you begin to look at your life, it's important for you to ask yourself, what greater things am I prepared to do? And it is that ability to do greater things that is really going to set you up to master yourself and by extension, master your life. So, on the program that we have done, what we have seen is that the individual who we worked with through this process, at the end of the exercise, they were more confident, they were more self aware, they were in a better position to self determine as against the other individual who was in that free fall. Why? Because they had a different type of information that was really helping them to not only self discover, but then they had a supportive environment to really help them to be the best version of themselves. The point that we'd wanted to prove is that once an environment is set up to help people to self identify with the real self, it really sets the stage for them to go on a pathway of self actualization. And I do believe that in this modern day, every single human being on planet Earth owe it to themselves to connect with any environment that is going to help them to self actualize. Frank, I'm going to pass to you. When I come back, I'm going to look at master life and then dig in a little bit into building wealth. All to you, my friend.
Thanks, Gary. Good morning, beautiful people. You know, it occurred to me that building wealth is surprisingly simple, but it isn't easy. There isn't
Hmm.
really any secrets to creating wealth, and if anyone is offering a shortcut or get rich quick sounding scheme, they're just trying to make a few bucks. Now, it's my belief that there are three basic ingredients that are needed to create wealth. First one is discipline. Money comes after, and time. So let me jump right in. Discipline. You may be able to build wealth with less money or time than normal, but it's impossible to build wealth without a significant amount of discipline. And the more discipline you have with money, the easier it will be to build wealth. Just like any other habits. The more you practice, the easier they become. Saving money is no exception. At younger ages, when money is a scarce resource, it may be especially hard to save, but dollars saved at a young age have the greatest potential for growth. And discipline can also be described as deferred gratification, the process of resisting the temptation of an immediate reward in hopes of a far greater reward in the future. Once you get in the habit of saving money, once you get in the habit of building wealth for your future self, it's a difficult habit to break. So you cultivate the discipline that is required to create wealth. It may seem easy, but the failure of the majority of people to have just like 1,000 US saved for the future should be an indicator of how uncommon financial discipline actually is. And then money. Money obviously is a necessary ingredient for wealth creation. There are many, and there are some shortcuts. The younger you start saving, the more time your dollars have to grow. If you start saving, say at age 18, you probably won't need to save as much for retirement as someone who starts saving at age 40. So as you grow in your career, your salary and disposable income will likely increase, and you will have the opportunity to increase your savings over time, saving rates along with it. Now, if your saving rates isn't quite where you like it to be, there are two different ways to save more money. You can either spend less or earn more. And if you don't know exactly where your paycheck goes every month, it may be easier to spend less. For those already living a frugal lifestyle, making more money might be the easiest path. Continuing education can broaden your career prospects or increase your pay grade. But going back to school isn't required to make more money. Almost anyone can join the gig economy and work from home, deliver food, or help others with different tasks in their spare time. Then we have time. No matter how much money you make, or how great our savior you are, Your money needs time to grow. And the easiest way to give your money an adequate amount of time to grow is to start saving at a young age. And the greatest example of someone who used time to the full advantage is Warren Buffett. Unlike most other investors, Warren earned exceptional returns. Yeah. Um, his phenomenal returns weren't his biggest secret to building wealth. Warren's secret is time. He started saving as a child and is still saving today at 90 years old. So you don't need exceptional returns to build wealth if you save for nearly a century. You might not be able to save for 80 years of your life, but you can make sure time is on your side by starting to save at a young age, like Warren Buffett. The three secret ingredients to wealth creation aren't actually a secret at all. To build wealth, you need to master discipline, you need to master money and time. And once you got those down, wealth creation is inevitable. A latest data shows takes a close look at those three key ingredients, what you need to do to achieve each, and some examples of success. We here can help you to grow your money. Gary, who is a master in money making, that's why he's a millionaire today, um, can show you what are his secrets of becoming a millionaire. What are his secrets of almost reaching a billionaire? You
Yes,
know,
Frank,
I
you got me
don't want to
cracking
laugh,
up here.
right? But the thing about it is that it all comes down to discipline, money, and time. This will help you um, get wealth. Um, and I must warn that there are a lot of people who are there can show you a get rich quick scheme. And most of the times, and I remember the days of the pyramid and all sorts of games will come to you and say, you know what, once you come into this thing, the first set of people get the money and then they run, and you left hanging without nothing. So one has got to be careful with that.
Yeah,
Over to you, Gary.
yeah, Frank. Yeah, you're correct. There are some crazy realities in the world today, and you have to be educated to it. But I just want to take you up on some of the points that you would have made, and I want to give some information. Now, if you are in the US, 50 states, and you need access to capital, whether that capital is debt, equity, credit, creative financing, or hard money lending, um, we can help you access capital for your business. So, as you start to think about your wealth building journey and the important role that access to capital can play in this, I want to encourage you to connect with us. We'll be happy to put you in contact with our key partners that is going to set you up to access the capital. So I just wanted to share that little bit. And Frank, you have made some great points. And what I want to do is to continue where I've actually left off. In life, it is important for you to recognize that any attempt to master yourself means that you must take ownership over your life. You owe it to yourself. You cannot transfer the power, balance of power to any institution, to any organization, or to anyone. This is your life. And you have to pause a bit and ask yourself, how can I position myself to master myself? You owe it to yourself. I believe that the Creator deposited great talents inside of you. And one of your responsibility is to do your best to activate that talent that you have within you. Now, let me say this. One of the things that we emphasize is the pathway to subject matter expertise. In our programs, we talk to you a whole lot about identifying a pathway that can help you to become a subject matter expert. Now, as you become a subject matter expert, here is where you are in a better position of strength to negotiate for income, because subject matter expertise is what we call building your ability, enhancing your ability to trade time for money. And that's one way in which you're going to position yourself to build wealth. Of course, the ability to bring yourself to that point to master an area of expertise um, is going to make you more marketable. And what exactly do I mean by understanding the pathway to become a subject matter expert? Now, let me give an example of what I'm talking about. You owe it to yourself in this lifetime, not the next one, to take the time to understand what it takes to be an SCP. For example, you know, again, we continue to look at case scenario. We are interfacing with persons and we expose them to programs like the SCP. What is the SCP? The SCP is a sales communication professional. The sales communication professional thesis is based on the new volume of books that we have just released. See, we have released the 11th volume of the book titled Master the Sales Communication Process. So what a program does, it has a number of candidates, and we are working with the candidates to help them to understand how to become a subject matter expert as an SCP. So you find that over a period of time, these subject matter experts, they understand the importance of collecting sensitive data. They understand the importance of analyzing sensitive data. They understand the importance of leveraging sensitive data, and they understand the importance of mitigating sensitive data. So they become a subject matter expert here. So you have to now ask yourself, is this expertise relevant to business or relevant to the average person? The answer to that is yes, because every successful business, you need data. You need data about who's the ideal client. The SCP knows that. You need data in terms of how to access the ideal client. The SCP knows that. You need data in terms of your market viability. The sales communication professional have that type of information. You need data about the urgency and immediacy of the value offer that you intend to offer. The SCP knows that. And every business, as you innovate products and services and you attempt to make products and services available to the ideal client, it should be driven by data. Because when you take data out of the equation, it means that you're guessing, it means that you're speculating in terms of how you're going about to do business. And one of the things that we advocate is that you need to take speculation out of the business equation, because that's where you're going to fail. And that is one of the reasons why we've seen so many business startups are failing. So when you become this subject matter expert, you're now able to speak the language of business. And again, what we are seeing is that as you become that subject matter expert, being able to speak the language of business, you can better negotiate for in trading your time for money. So you have that expertise, and that is foundation because you have, income coming in. Frank spoke earlier on about income coming in. He talked about saving, but we push you one step further because we are seeing today it is hard to save and build wealth. And for the majority of people, because of the rapid inflation that is taking place. So you save to invest, and you invest now to build wealth. I'm going to come to the wealth building journeys just now. So it is so important for you to bring yourself to that point and say to yourself that I owe me, I have a responsibility to myself to become a subject matter expert. So the one example I give is that you decide to become an SCP, a sales communication professional. Perhaps in Frank's case, it would be training yourself to become a leader, to become a leader. as a subject matter expert. And I know Frank will talk about the importance of leadership today. Now, no business can run effectively without the SCP. Perhaps another area that you might want to look at is to become an influencer marketer. An influencer marketer, as a subject matter expert, you're able to help rising stars in business to cut through the no like and trust. Now, every rising star in business, they struggle through this growth phase. No one knows you, and because no one knows you, they don't have a reason to like you. And if they don't have a reason to like you, how are they going to come to that point of trusting you so as to put their hard-earned money in your hands? Now, as a subject matter expert, because you're now focusing on mastering yourself, you are now in that position of strength to help people. And the more you are able to help people, it optimizes your potential to earn. The more you're able to optimize your potential to earn, the more you're able to master your life. That brings you to life mastery now. Master life. All right. So, mastering life is you saying to yourself, these are goals that I'm setting for myself. These are goals that I'm setting for my family. These are goals that I'm setting for my organization. And because you have some of the things that Frank spoke about earlier on, discipline and commitment and all of these different things, you are not only able to set those goals, but you're able to make a solid commitment to achieve those goals. And you're also able to achieve it. In our program, we're going to give you more techniques to really understand how to master your life, how to set a goal and how to achieve it. Because setting a goal is not wishful thinking. Setting a goal, you must be able to apply what we call the science of goal setting, the theory of goal setting, and the practice of goal setting. And when you understand this ecosystem and you know how to apply it to life mastery processes, that is what sets you up for success. Because in these programs, we will talk to you about things like the science of success. And what the science of success says is that you must have clear targeted outcome that you want. And because you have clear targeted outcome with the science behind it, you're now able to optimize your return. You have high reward, measurable results, predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. That's what the science helps you to understand. So we will go deep into this body of knowledge. So we are not just discussing a theory, because these are things that we are practicing in our community. We are helping our community to understand how to relate to the concept of mastering self. You owe it to yourself. If you're waiting on someone to master you, well, you're just a puppet. And we have so many puppets in the world today. We do what the other person say, even without being able to make a critical decision for ourselves. It's like Tom said, I don't like Gary, and because Tom said I don't like Gary, V don't like Gary. Why? Because V is a puppet. You're not thinking for yourself. So when you have the body of knowledge where you can master yourself, you're able to make informed and educated decision for yourself, and you're no longer a puppet. So Frank, I'm going to put on the point of puppet, and when I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the wealth building process, but I trust that the audience had a lot to take today. We learned about mastering self and mastering life. All to you, Frank. I would love to hear how leadership plays into this, because I know taught leadership, and is vital to every aspect of self mastery. All to you, my
Yes, it
friend.
is. Yes. Um, let's look at self-mastery and how to fulfill the promise of your leadership.
Hmm.
As leaders, our most potent weapons are ourselves. I want to repeat that. As leaders, our most potent weapons are ourselves. Leadership development is a process of self actualization. How can you become the best possible version of yourself? And then, How can you create value as a leader by helping those around you reach their full potential? To create the change you want for the world, we must first be able to create change within ourselves. To lead others, we must first learn to lead ourselves. And self mastery isn't a destination, it's a journey. I'm on the journey myself, and that's what I've learned along the way. Love and respect yourself to success. Imagine you want $1 million racehorse. What kind of care and attention would you give that horse? And you probably won't settle for anyone other than the finest groomers and trainers to care for the horse. At the very least, you'd make sure that horse eats nutritious foods and exercises daily. Now stop, reflect. Are you giving yourself the same care and attention? When we are filled with ambition and racing for success at full speed, too often we sacrifice the time and effort it takes to care for ourselves and optimize for maximum high performance. This same scarcity mindset carries into the workplace when we don't invest enough in the growth, when we don't invest enough in training and development of our own people. And Ben Horowitz wrote, "The hard thing about hard things," and he calls this being too hungry to eat. You're more valuable than a thoroughbred horse. You're worth more than $1 million. Your team deserves better from you. And the greatest investment you can make, and you can ever make, is an investment in your own learning, in your own growth, in your health, in your own wellness. And then you can maximize the contribution you make to others. What are your morning rituals? We take our first steps of self improvement each morning. And so you got to make sure you get a running start to success. If you want to be unstoppable today, you begin with these three morning rituals for power, peace, and prosperity. Power, in that you're weaponizing your body. It can be trained and re engineered, it's a machine. Take your hour of power for personal fitness each morning. The Greek Spartans would say, the more you sweat in the morning, the less you bleed in battle. Make sure before you engage the corporate battle with your calendar, email, and people who want your time and attention, that nothing you will encounter is harder than the war you wage on yourself every morning. And Buddha quotes, "A man who conquers himself is greater than one who conquers 1,000 men in battle." Get the right nutrients in your body. Drink a green smoothie. Take in some protein. Just an hour. Then you want peace. Practice gratitude. I know this is Gary's favorite term,
Yeah,
gratitude.
gratitude.
All abundance begins with self. And when you appreciate the gifts in your life, then they increase in value. So you need to believe in your dreams. Our greatest strength comes from the power within. You need to see, you need to feel, and have gratitude for the abundance you create in your life. Cultivate that inner peace through internal reflection, prayer, or meditation. And then you can tackle each challenge with an expanded mindset. Again, in a Spartan warrior and poet, Tirtias, you should reach the limits of virtue before you cross the border of death. And to practice that, it will take about 20 minutes. Then you
Hmm.
move to prosperity. So now that you've visualized and felt gratitude for the world, you want to create. Make concrete written plans and calibrations for the productive. achievement of your burning desires in business and personal targets. For 10 minutes, read a book, a good book that will help you progress each morning. Share a deep insight or personal testimony with someone that is learning and growing and help enrich their life. Napoleon Hill shares this wisdom in his book, Think and Grow Rich. And he says, and I quote, "No one can prosper without first enriching the lives of others."
Mm-hmm.
Adam
Mm-hmm.
Grant, in his book Give and Take, studies three kinds of people: the givers, who give without strings attached; the matchers, who give and expect in return; and the takers, who take. Who of these three personalities reach the most success? And the answer is surprisingly twofold. Givers show the lowest performance when they self sacrifice too much. Givers also rank as the highest performance with takers and matchers in the middle. Giving creates value in people's lives. Grant advocates 5-minute favors that bring high value to other people's lives without taking too much of a toll on you. So you need to stay away from the takers. Think each morning, who is someone that could benefit from a 5-minute gift from me? Is there a handwritten thank you note? Is there a cheerful text? Is there a loving response? The prosperity you create for others will multiply and return to you in the long run. Over to you, Gary.
Great share, Frank. Um, I love the point repeated the importance of gratitude. And what I want to say, in life you may have a lot of things that is happening to you that you are not, appreciative of. But there's one thing that you should be having gratitude for is life. You have life. And simply because you have life, this is an opportunity to take your life into your hands and mold it and shape it and push it in the direction that you want it to go. Now, the possibility exists that you may not know how to do that, so as to bring self mastery and to bring life mastery under your wings and in your control. But guess what? You can get mentorship, you can get coaching, you can get a sponsor, you can become a part of a supportive community that's going to help you to accomplish just that. And that's why we are here. So whether you're in business, you have a great business idea, you're in the US, 50 states, we're going to help you. We're going to help you to get access to capital. We're going to help you to integrate your brand into the market. We're going to help you to achieve your objectives. We have other team players that's going to help you on the personal side. But Frank, you also mentioned self-care. And, self-care is so important. But I recognize that in today's world, uh, it becomes a very complex task. It becomes a very complex task. And let me say why. Um, Self-care is about eating right. Self-care also is about eating less. And sometimes people don't associate eating less with self-care. Self-care is about exercise, and self-care is about rest. But most importantly, as you eat, you need to be conscious of what you're eating, because we have a whole lot of food that is being grown that they're not being grown organically. And because being grown with GM, a lot of foreign substance is being deposited to your body, which is undermining self-care, which is undermining your health. As time progresses, we will do a special program on that. But self-care is vital as you take steps to master yourself and take steps to master your life. Because the last thing that you want is that you invest all of this time to master yourself, only to have a Steve Jobs scenario. And Steve Jobs was one of the greatest minds that we had, on earth, the great mind behind Apple. But guess what? Very young, he went to his maker. The concept of self-care comes in there. Frank, we also talk about a couple other things, and I want to come now to the wealth building process, and I'm going to take a soft approach here. Any effort to build wealth begins with a desire. All right, begins with a desire, and it begins with also willpower, because sometimes the desire is not enough. All right, you have a desire to be, you know, recognized. You have a desire to become financial independent, but do you have the willpower to go after this? And let's talk about it, because depending on where you are on your pathway to success, you may need more or less willpower. Think about this scenario. You're someone that have $1 million that you can perhaps invest into income producing asset. So you connect with a mentor, and a mentor walk you through the process, and they help you to, you know, understand what you should do and what you should not do, so as to avoid investing your capital into liability. That level of work and that level of commitment is less. All right. So the difference of this, okay, Frank, I'm going to come to you shortly. The difference in this is that on the flip side of this, you don't have any money, but you want to come to this point. What can you do to get to this point of financial independence? You may need a whole lot of willpower because you have nothing to start with. Well, let me talk a little bit, just a little bit about willpower. Willpower is about connecting with the right people, the right mentor, the right coach, the right supportive community, the right sponsor. And by simply connecting with the right people, guess what? They're able to provide that support. There's a concept that we call group economics. You may not have the disposable income, but you have willpower and brain power, because you understand things that most people don't understand. And because you understand this, you now understand practical steps that you can take to position yourself to start your wealth building journey. And I'm happy to say to you that Pathway 5, a very unique program, is really going to set you up to be successful to build wealth. So you're going to master self, you're going to master life, and then you're going to go on to build wealth. Because the last thing that we want, just before I come to Frank, the last thing that we want is that our platform sets you up to build wealth. But because you don't understand yourself, you don't understand your place in life, you build wealth and you self sabotage because you don't have self control. All right. You don't have self discipline. So we talk about all of these things as we set you up for success in business or in life. So I trust that these nuggets really help you. And I'm going to turn now to Frank. Frank, your
Hi.
closing thoughts on today's topic.
So building wealth and mastering life requires a combination of self-discipline, strategic planning, and continuous learning. And key principles are mastering self, where you have self-discipline, and in self-discipline you have set clear goals, you develop routines, and you manage time effectively. Then there's continuous learning, where you read regularly, seek mentorship, and invest in education. And you cannot have self mastery without emotional intelligence. Being self aware, you have to have self regulation, and most of all, empathy. Then, in mastering life, it's all about your health and well being, your physical health, your mental health. It's about the relationships, those network strategies, how you communicate effectively. And then building wealth is financial literacy. You have to understand your personal finance. You have to track your finances. There's income generation. You need to have a diversified income streams. Invest wisely. Saving and investing is an aspect of financial of building wealth. Build an emergency fund. Invest for the long term. I am running it, and then you need to minimize your debt. So you must have an action plan, set financial goals, create a budget, start investing, educate yourselves, and monitor progress. So by mastering yourself and applying strategic financial principles, you can build wealth and achieve a balanced, fulfilling life. Thank you, Gary.
All right, great points, Frank. Frank, you have said something early on, and I just want to reflect on it as we close out. The journey to wealth building is not an
Mhm.
overnight train. It's not an overnight success. It's a process.
Mhm.
Yes, there may be overnight processes, but it's a risk. It's a gamble. And what we are talking about here is not the gamble. We're talking about the process. And the process may entails you having a long-term financial growth plan and you work in it. So over a period of 5 to 10 years, you are now able to position yourself for financial independence. Pathway 5 will talk to you about that because there are passive investment portfolios that you can look at, and there are very active investment portfolios that you can look at. There are investment portfolio that you will be able to look at that can give you a daily, monthly, a yearly income. The yearly income comes in the asset appreciation. The asset appreciation means that you can take out the equity from the asset and you can leverage it into other income producing asset. So the sky is the limit. And pathway 5, we will go deep into this body of knowledge to really help you how to master self, master life, and build wealth. Last words, it's important for you to learn these concepts. You work to earn, you earn to save, you save to invest, and you invest to build wealth. I really want you to get these words through your head. That's all I want you to think about. Yes, you're working to spend money, but think about it in a different. The first thing that comes to mind, your ritual should be I work to earn, I earn to save, I save to invest, I invest to build wealth. Do this every day. And along with that, come into our programs, come for mentorship and coaching. Some of them are free. And you're going to see the massive transformation that's going to take place in your life. And working with Frank is going to be exceptional because he has taught at some of the top universities within the Caribbean. He's a leader, very passionate, servant driven leader. And I'm certain that he will be able to give you so much of information to enhance your leadership skills as you set yourself up to get on your journey to start building wealth for yourself. Again, on this platform, we are not giving you investment advice. We're simply helping you to understand how to think differently. When you come in and we do that proper diagnostic, we will then work with you to help you to, understand the process of that wealth building journey. So that now is for whether you're in the Caribbean or any part of the world. Frank is the go-to person. If you're in the U.S., you're looking for capital. I'm one of your go-to persons to help you to attain that. Frank, I want to say it has always been it's a tremendous pleasure working with you today. It has always been a pleasure working with you, and I'm looking forward to for tomorrow for us to do another program. Um,
All right.
with that, I want to say your closing marks. A quick tip on your book just before we wrap up.
Uh, the book is all about song leadership, and how, and there are a lot of benefits for whether you're a politician, a church leader, a family head of the family, head of an organization. You need song leadership. You need song leadership to make you catapult to that status of $1 million entity. You need song leadership that will cause you to be the best in the political arena. You need the song leadership to be the best in your home. And so this book reveals, it enlightens, it inspires, it motivates to you be the best leader that you can be. Thank you, Gary.
Good. Frank, one thing I love about leadership, it's not about shifting the blame. It's about taking ownership.
Taking ownership.
It's about taking ownership.
Yeah.
All right, dude. All right, Frank. With that
All
being
right.
said, audience, I really trust that you enjoyed today's program. Remember to like, subscribe, and share so you will be the first to get these content that we're bringing to you on a regular basis. Be blessed. Today's Friday. Have a great weekend ahead of you.
All right.
All right, Frank.
All right.